Hey everyone, welcome to Conservation News Network. So today I'm going to be talking about this stupid idea about whether if you met a bear or man in the woods, that you would choose a bear. So I don't know. This has been something that's been going on for years and years. You see women on social media always going, "Oh well, if I ever saw." If I had the choice between meeting a bear in the woods or a man in the woods, I'd choose the bear.
Would you rather be stuck in a forest with a man or a bear?
A bear.
A bear.
A bear. I trust them more. Bear. A bear. I like men.
Well, I guess with a bear, I can run from it.
A bear. Any day.
Why a bear?
The worst thing that a bear can do is kill you.
A bear.
Why a bear?
I don't know why I said that.
Would you rather be stuck in a forest with a man or a bear?
A bear.
Why?
Because I feel like I can get away from the bear. Like I could climb a tree.
You think bears can't climb a tree? Who's gonna tell her?
I'll tell you what. No, you wouldn't. Well, maybe you would, but it would be the wrong decision. So what we're going to do is today I'm going to go through a couple of videos and I'm going to tell you why you would probably choose the man than a woman. Than a bear in the woods. So the first video that we're going to be having a look at is this guy who's on his bike and he's going to be chased by a bear. Let's check it out. So, sorting out his GoPro. It's a head mount system. Just a regular old day going in the woods. And so, yeah. And then all of a sudden, wow, just a bear suddenly appears out of nowhere. Now, so first of all, one thing you'll notice is how quickly this bear saw this guy and decided, you know what, this is something I'm going to eat. Then, luckily he's on a bike and he's now going fast on his bike. But the thing about this is that when you are going away from an animal, running or moving fast away from an animal, you are indicating that you are a prey species. And what happens when predators see a prey species running? They generally they generally chase it. So this guy I'll tell you what I would do in this situation. I would be trying to get out of this woods area, and hopefully you know where you are. And look, it's still behind him. It's still behind him. Now, it kind of looks like animation, if I'm honest, but I think it's a little bit difficult to tell. Now, this guy, you can imagine just how much adrenaline he's going on in his body. It's still chasing him. So, and look at this. Oh my God. Oh my God. If I had a log in the middle of the road there, like I'd just be like, okay, that's it, I'm done. So, and the fact that he's running further into the bush, I don't know if that's a smart idea or a bad idea. I don't know if you heard that as well, but there was gunshots in the background. So obviously this bear is probably being hunted. Okay, that looked real. So there's gunshots in the background. So this is obviously a hunting area. And so let's just hide that. Yeah, so as I was saying, as soon as one of these bear, and that looked like a pretty big bear as well. I think that a lot of people don't realize that if you act like a prey species in the forest, then the predators will treat you like one. So the next one, I think this is actually one of the scarier ones because this guy's just all by himself in the middle of the woods. Let's put yourself in that same situation. So this guy, he's out there, he's camping by himself in a bear area, and you can hear that. Now, oh, F that. Straight up F that. Like, Bro, if I'm going around in an area with bears, hiking by myself, especially in America, let's be real, I am taking a gun with me, or at least bear spray or something to defend myself. Now, there's also a couple of other things that people should be really, really aware about. So bears are omnivorous animals, and also a lot of the time when they're going around, they are looking to try and eat as much as possible, because obviously, if you know much about bear ecology, they will try and fatten themselves up as much as possible, because during the wintertime they'll be hibernating. So especially as it's getting closer to the hibernation period, bears are just looking for any kind of food. So the thing that you must not do is, one, keep food in your tent, and two, if you do have food, you've got to put it up nice and high, and also try and seal it in a way that bears can't smell it. Now, bearing in mind that I've actually never actually seen bears in the wild. I have been to North America, and I do have friends who have had experiences with bears in the wild. And I've also read this from lots of other things. But yeah, there are some certain things that you must do in bear country, and one of the things that you must not do is keep food in your tent. Otherwise, you're inviting the animals in. So that growling, you can tell that bear is trying to get in. He's trying to figure out how he can get in. See that? That was him. I feel like that bear was actually just trying to bite on that tent. Still growling. And look, quite honestly, I think this guy did the right thing there. He made a whole bunch of noise. He made it seem like, hey, there's something dangerous in here, because I think a lot of people don't realize this, that animals, especially predators, will try and avoid people as much as possible. Humans are really, really dangerous in terms of the eyes of animals, and so they will try and avoid us, because if they come across us, they're actually more afraid of us. And the thing is that there's a massive risk that we could actually be something that's going to injure them, and an injury for an animal in the wild is a death sentence. I still wouldn't have that tent thing open. He's managed to open that up to have a look. I wonder what he's filming this on. Probably his phone. See, look, I would say, look, this is your problem right here. Let's just go back a sec. We kind of missed it, but here we go. Yeah, you got your water, but the thing that he really has in here, his cooler box. Now, that bear obviously came by because it was looking for food. The water, not so much of a problem, but the food, that is definitely the thing that this bear was coming in looking for. Opening it up. So the bear's obviously gotten a bit scared and decided to leave. And quite frankly, after I changed my underwear, I would also be leaving. Can you imagine oh my God, it's trying to show me that video a million times. For me, I would be leaving that area. If you've got a bear that's around there and you're all by yourself, I would pack my things and get the hell out of Dodge. So, the next one is, I think, probably one of the most important videos that we can actually see. So this is a guy that has been attacked by a bear, and he survived, and he's telling his story.
He was afraid to shoot, and
Because he didn't want to shoot
because the
you.
bear was shaking it around like a rag doll, he said, and so he didn't want to shoot at it until it hit in that they did what they did, and it got it to go that sometimes between when he bit my jaw and running off, he stepped on my chest and bit my leg.
All right. So, oh my God, that's brutal. That's just brutal. Obviously, we can see from from his jaw. That's a prosthetic jaw. The guy got his entire jaw ripped off. So, like, you know, even if you got attacked by a bear, you know, even if you survived, like, that's just brutal, you know. And then, could you imagine just the amount of trauma, the blood loss, how, you know, I don't know how much pain. Well, you'd be in a lot of pain. I think you'd probably be in a lot of shock as well. But that is just, yeah. And then you're disfigured for the rest of your life as well. I feel sorry for the guy.
And I could tell that I was bleeding more from the hole in my leg than I was from my jaw. And the doctors in the hospital said that I was very lucky that it was less than an eighth of an inch on one side and even less than that on the other side. If he had just hit down just a little bit further, I wouldn't be here because he would have hit my artery and I'd have been gone.
The doctor said he was lucky. I mean, yeah, he is lucky to survive, but, you know, there are so many people that don't survive these things. And even if you do survive being attacked by a bear, like I said, this guy, he's disfigured for the rest of his life. I mean, at least his family still has him, and yeah, but I think that a lot of people don't realize just how, you know, how dangerous these animals are. One thing I'd like to actually show you, as much as, you know, bears are really, really dangerous, this is a great video that I found as well. And one thing you got to know about bears, you have a look at this, right? This bear, like, and I would say that not all bears see us as food all the time as well. So this bear, my understanding is this is up in somewhere in Alaska, and there's a certain parts where essentially you have the salmon run, where the salmon are all coming up, and it's sort of a time when bears can actually have a lot of food available. And so the thing is that when bears have a lot of food available, they'll be focusing on the food. They won't necessarily be focusing on people. So you can actually get really, really close to some of these animals and not be as much of a risk. Now, this guy, I think it's what he's done is, I don't think he's done anything wrong either. You know, he was actually sitting down, he was chilling and watching the bears go and eat. We'll actually see it in a sec. And this bear came up to him. So, you know, this is a kind of situation where you do have to be a little bit cautious, but if you know what to watch for, it doesn't look like this bear's being aggressive. This bear is just chilling. And likelihood is that these bears are actually used to seeing people around these parts during the salmon run as well. So the bear sees the person, is not as a threat, but it also doesn't see him as prey. If he ran, that'd be a different story. Is this a grizzly? I feel like this is a grizzly bear. See what I mean? Is that this bear is actually just sitting there watching all the other bears, and sort of, and that's the thing is, like, when there's a lot of abundance of food, animals can kind of get along a lot more. But often when there's competition for food, that's when fights break out. Animals are generally far more tolerant of other animals when there's food around. And this bear probably doesn't want to exude any energy. Because don't forget, all animals, like us, we're all lazy. You know, I don't want to say lazy, but, you know, if animals have to exert a huge amount of energy to be able to get food. Humans are one of the only species that, you know, we can sit around and you can call up Uber Eats and get food delivered to your door, whereas, you know, all these animals have to work for their food. And so if you don't have to work very hard for your food, you're going to pick that option. And so, you know, if this So this at this time, you can see this bear's actually reasonably fat and things like that. So he's probably not thinking, oh, well, I'm going to make a risk or exude any more energy to get more food. And the guy also did the right thing, just making sure that this bear knew that he wasn't meant to be going to be messed around with. And that's the thing about bears. You've got to be, well, like any predators, really. You can be around other predators, but that you need to let them know that you are not to be messed with. And see, let's just pause it here. As you can see, this is look how many bears there are here. And they're all very, if this was a time when there's a time of scarcity, all these bears would be fighting. But this is an area where there's lots and lots of resources, and these bears don't need to necessarily fight because there's enough to go around. Why fight with people when you can just automatically get your food? And then I want to show this just to show. Look at. And this is the complete opposite thing. Two bears fighting over resources. And I think these are... I don't know what kind of bears these are. One looks like a black bear, to be honest. Look how human-like they are, in a way. I don't want to anthropomorphize... God, that's a difficult word to say. That's when you're anthropomorphize. That's a term when you try and associate human characteristics to animals, and it's something that you should always try and avoid because we humans do stuff very, very different to animals, and if you are looking at an animal, you need to look at it from an animal perspective, not a human perspective. But you can see these two, there's obviously some sort of resources. It's like, could be territory, and also the territory also has the resources in it. That's why these bears could be fighting as well. Or it could be over females. There's many reasons why animals would fight. But most of the time, animals will actually try and do everything they possibly can to avoid conflict. So there's certain ways that they can do that by leaving scent markers, by posturing, by moving around, and then often, if one animal thinks that they are less dominant, they will actually back away and let the other one go in, because quite often that would be an easier way to deal with the situation than fighting. Because if you fight, even if you lose, you could get seriously injured, and then you can die anyway. No, look at it, just push down the GoPro. Yeah. So, very, very important thing. And then finally, this is probably And then finally, I'd like to just put a little bit of juxtaposition for the final video about why you probably won't want to encounter a bear. So
you're the only one I've loved.
I don't know if anyone has seen this video, but it was these two people that were getting married out in the middle of the forest, and then all of a sudden a bear comes out and kills a moose. So as you can see, we've got a guy here. And obviously he's, about to marry his wife. Looks like a nice, normal guy.
Vow to love my past, present, and future.
And so, yeah, you've got a man versus, and let's see it, this bear. And look at the way this bear is. And anyone who has been to North America and seen a moose knows how huge those animals actually are. Moose are huge. And that grizzly is just taking it down.
That's why we didn't go to the North North Shore, ladies and gentlemen.
That is exactly why you don't go to the North Shore, ladies and gentlemen. Also, not a great place to be doing your wedding vows. Not really many places for your friends to sit.
Dude, are you joking me right now?
So this goes on for quite some time. I do want to go to it a little bit further because you can see.
Wow.
Look at the aggression that this animal. And the moose hasn't died yet. That moose hasn't died yet either, and that grizzly is just doing huge amounts of effort. And so I think one thing that I think that a lot of people don't understand is that, especially with predators and bears, is that most predators will try and avoid you. And a lot of the bear attacks or animal attacks are usually when somebody puts themselves in harm's way with the animals. It's one of the reasons why we always say, look, watch from a distance. For example, I'll give you an example of somebody who essentially took the risk too far, and his name's Timothy Treadwell. If you guys have ever watched, if you guys want to watch a really, really interesting documentary, is one about Timothy Treadwell called Grizzly Man by Werner Herzog. And it is a fantastic video about, well, what happens is they've taken all the video footage from Timothy and then kind of spliced it together. And Timothy ended up getting killed by a grizzly bear that he knew well. And one of the reasons why was he decided to set up his camp in a well-known game trail, and he also knew that there's certain bears around which were going to be quite a little bit more aggressive, and also he was doing it at the very end of the fall or autumn season when the bears are actively looking for food and because of the scarcity of food are far more aggressive. And Timothy actually was killed. He got eaten alive. And then his girlfriend, who was with him, ended up suffering the same fate. And so there actually was recorded footage of him being killed, but that has never been released. And yeah, nobody has actually seen it or heard the audio, maybe except Werner Herzog. But yeah, so look. I would say, I would, in this whole social media thing of, I would choose the bear over a man, I think it's really offensive to a lot of men who, most men don't actually want to hurt women. And especially if you're out into the forest and you end up getting injured, the first person that's going to come and help you is a hiker. And there are so many people that go out and put their lives on the line to try and find somebody who's lost or needs help. And whereas if you go and meet a bear out in the woods, likelihood is, one, it probably doesn't want to see you either. Bears will do everything they possibly can to avoid people. And then on top of that, if that bear does attack you, you could suffer this. You could suffer the same fate as Timothy Treadwell and his girlfriend, or that other man who had his jaw ripped off. So, anyway, I think that's all I really wanted to say about the whole debacle between this. So, and let's hope at some point this just gets laid to rest, because quite frankly, I'm sick of seeing it every couple of years come up. So anyway, if you've gotten to this far, thank you so much for watching. Please hit me a like. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you have any bear stories or think I'm wrong about something, then please hit me up in the comments. I read everybody's comments. And yeah, have a great day, everybody.